There are many mysteries in space. New discoveries often lead to new questions, and a really clear example of that is this, what appears to be a question mark in space. Space images like this one captured by the James Webb Space Telescope are typically colorized because the actual photos would appear black and white to the human eye. So the question in question may not actually be yellow. In fact, scientists aren't sure what it may actually be, period. Some theorize it's a galaxy, or maybe two, located outside the Milky Way and possibly performing a confused-looking dance. Scientists say strange shapes can form when two galaxies collide. It's possible this is the first time such an event has formed such a clear symbol, but it punctuates the perplexities of intergalactic interactions. Thank you for joining us on this tour of the world from A to Z. My name is Carl Azus. We're so happy to see you this Tuesday, August 15th. We've got stories from India, Panama, California coming at you today. But our next stop is in the South American nation of Ecuador, where a dramatic increase in crime is taking a toll on residents, businesses, and political figures. Fernando Villavicencio was running for president in Ecuador's upcoming election when he was assassinated last Wednesday. And that happened despite the fact that he had bodyguards and police nearby. The CIA says that even though Ecuador is not a major producer of illegal drugs, the nation is increasingly being used to transport them. And the rise in drug trafficking there has been associated with the rise in crime, gang activity, and violence. The Associated Press reports that political problems, corruption, government debt, all of this has further strained the nation's security, and that it's all welled up within just the past few years. These are issues that Villavicencio was promising to confront if he got elected.
This was a targeted attack, killing the man who once described his country as a narco state run by a political mafia. Villavicencio, an anti-corruption campaigner, was targeted moments after attending this campaign event at a school in northern Quito.
Vamos a escribir.
We are going to write on August 20th the final story of the rebellion of democracy, of the struggle against corruption, against the mafia that have subjugated our homeland for 20 years, he told the crowd. The 59-year-old centrist was one of 8 candidates in the first round of Ecuador's presidential election scheduled for August 20th. The South American country, historically relatively safe and stable, facing a deadly escalation of violence and organized crime. 7 of the 8 candidates in the election were under police protection, local media reported this week. In a recent interview, Villavicencio said he had received threats to break him from drug trafficking group Los Choneros. And in a video filmed at a rally August 5th, he said he had been told to wear a bulletproof vest, but told the crowd, "Here I am wearing a sweaty shirt. You are my bulletproof vest. I don't need it." Meanwhile, Ecuadorian President Guillermo Lasso vowed the killing would not go unpunished and announced a 60-day state of emergency.
The armed forces from this moment on will mobilize in all of the national territory to guarantee the security of our citizens, the tranquility of the country, and the free and democratic elections of August 20th.
The suspected gunman died in police custody, while 6 people have been arrested following the assassination, the prosecutor's office says. Questions now for a shocked, changing nation days ahead of a presidential election.
A world of knowledge. What is the capital of Ecuador? Santiago, Quito, Georgetown, Caracas. Located in the northern part of Ecuador, Quito is the home to several million people.
From South America, we're spinning the globe and taking you to Asia, where areas of northern India are reeling from flooding and landslides. It's not unusual for this part of the world to see heavy rains during its monsoon seasons. The summer one runs from June to September. But this year, dozens of people have been killed by landslides and flooding after days of heavy rain. It's been the worst in the northern Himalayan region of India. Bridges have been washed away, structures have been demolished, schools and roads have closed as rescuers search for survivors. Forecasters say more rain is possible over the next few days. On this date in world history, We're setting sail on the Panama Canal because it was on this date in 1914 that the famous passageway opened to traffic, giving ships a shortcut between the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans, saving them the need to sail thousands of miles around the southern tip of South America. The canal is 40 miles long. A series of locks raise and lower ships through changing water levels. It remains a massive engineering project built by the United States at a cost of almost $400 million. And though the U.S. controlled the canal for decades, a treaty passed it to the nation of Panama by the end of the 20th century. More than 500 million tons of goods are carried through the Panama Canal every year. Buckle up for what's looking to be an interesting ride. A vote in California is advancing the self-driving car industry. These types of vehicles are in limited operation in a number of cities worldwide. They're programmed with data on the location and layouts of roads, traffic patterns, hazards. They use sensors, radar, and camera to interpret what's happening around them, and then artificial intelligence components help the robo-taxis predict what other vehicles will do and make choices during the drive. The technology is new and controversial.
Press the help button to speak with a rider support agent.
People in San Francisco will likely be hearing more of that in the coming months. Whether you call them autonomous vehicles, AVs, self-driving cars, or robo-taxis, more of them are set to hit the streets as the techie city paves the way for expanded service. That's after a state agency voted to allow AVs to take passengers day or night throughout San Francisco.
Right now I'm feeling pretty relaxed. I feel like the braking's been smooth. I'm gonna hit the smiley face.
But it wasn't all smiley faces leading up to the controversial vote. Some people worry about the cars driving erratically. San Francisco's fire chief says AVs have interfered with dozens of emergency situations and that they're not ready for prime time. The city's municipal transportation agency says it's logged close to 600 incidents involving AVs since last year, but believes many more went unreported. Supporters say driverless cars are safer than those with humans at the wheel, that they'll provide more access to transportation, and that the move could boost the local economy. Google's Waymo and General Motors Cruise currently have about 500 AVs on the streets of San Francisco and say they'll soon have more. They also say the vehicles have yet to cause a life-threatening injury or death, and that real-world testing is the best way to make them safer. Wherever residents stand on it, the vote makes San Francisco one of America's first cities to allow 24/7 driverless cars. I'm Lindsay Wolfgang Mast for The World from A to Z.
Today I learned that Central South Carolina was actually in Northwest South Carolina. I'm talking about the town of Central, which is central to our friends at R.C. Edwards Middle School. Hello, Mrs. Clark's class. Next to a town in southeast Texas named Corrigan. We've got some Bulldogs online today, and we're calling out Coach Warren's classes at Corrigan Camden High School. Before we head out today, we've got one more story summed up by one word: busted. What we've got here is Hank the Tank. That's the name of this sedated black bear in California. She's sedated because she was captured. She was captured because Hank the Tank has been linked to 21 home break-ins around the Lake Tahoe area. Officials say they have DNA evidence connecting this so-called conflict bear with breaking and entering. She'll live out the rest of her days at a wildlife animal sanctuary and away from her life of crime. Is it plausible they got the wrong bear? Will evidence come to light at the bear arraignment? Could she be exonerated in the court of law? As long as no one bears false witness, I think prosecutors will come loaded for bear, and once evidence is brought to bear, she'll have to bear responsibility. I'm Carl Azus. That's 2 days of bear puns, almost more than I could. The World from A to Z will return tomorrow.